Hello everyone and Happy New Year. Welcome to the GavsWeatherVids New Year's Day Roundup. So as is tradition on the first day of the year, we like to do a little roundup video where we look at things like solar activity, sea surface temp, dominance, Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, etc, etc, etc. And this year is no exception, so I'll be getting on that for you in a moment. We will include a 10 to 14 day as well with this New Year's Day Roundup. So it's going to be quite a long video. Sit back, relax and enjoy, and I shall talk you through our New Year's Day Roundup in a moment. Just say back the first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've got Terry's January forecast coming up for you this evening on the GavsWeatherVids blog as well. So watch out for that. I'll share the links to that on the socials at about 7 o'clock this evening. Right, okay, first day of 2025. Hope you're having a lovely new year, everyone. Sorry everyone, let's have a look at solar activity first of all. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this from solarham.net. We've got various sunspot regions all over the place, and solar activity therefore is at moderate levels, or was yesterday, and is expected to remain at moderate levels for the next 2 or 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids New Year's Day Solar Activity Tracker, updated by Shrine, extended tracker, updated by Shrine. This goes all the way back to the start of the solar cycle in 25, just there, when of course we had very minimal levels of sunspots. The orange line and orange spot depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So try again, everyone. So you can see that we had a big spike in activity back in the summer. That was the peak of solar cycle 25 up to that point. Through the autumn, most of the autumn, we saw solar activity dropping down to a lower level. But in the last few days, it looks like we've lifted those daily sunspot numbers back up again. So we're now up, or very often, we're at a pretty high level of daily sunspot numbers there. Which you expect because we are in the maximum phase, of course, of solar cycle 25. So we're expecting, many days to have a lot of sunspots and a high number of them over a sustained period. The drop through the autumn was actually enough to lower the trend lines, which are the thick green and thick blue lines. But I reckon they'll be lifting back up again, if these daily sunspot numbers continue to look like that. Right, well, thanks so much for sending that through. Now, this is the solar cycle 24 to 25 to 23 comparison by month chart. So solar cycle 25, the current solar cycle, is just here, the green line, and the green spot's just there. So there's the peak of solar cycle 25 so far on a monthly basis back into the summer. And since then, we've been at this sort of lower, but still pretty high level of monthly sunspots. We are above the last solar cycle number 24 is just there. We're expecting solar cycle 25 to be very similar in type to solar cycle 24. Actually turned out to be a stronger solar cycle than 24 was. However, not as strong as solar cycle 23. This is the solar cycle from August 96 through to the end of 2008, and that was a bigger solar cycle. So we're somewhere in between 23 and 24 with solar cycle number 25, and overall it is a pretty weakish solar cycle, but stronger than we'd have been anticipating at the start of it. You showed a Shrine for sending through the solar trackers, and solar maximum is on course essentially. This is from Richard. Hello and happy new year to my good friend Richard Short. This is showing spotless days and also the current spotless stretch. Now every day in 2024 confirmed now had sunspots, and the same is true for every day in 2023. We're going to go back to 2022 to have a year but have one day without any sunspots. But 2021 was the last year where we had quite a few days without sunspots. That was as we was coming out of solar minimum, of course, and that had 64 days without sunspots. Our solar minimum year was 2019 just here, which had 281 days without sunspots. But comparable year to 2024 was 2013. Well, of course, we've moved on now to 2025, so our comparable year from last solar cycle to 2025 will actually be 2014. And actually, in 2014, despite being the solar maximum year of the solar cycle 24, albeit very weak solar maximum, we did have one day, but didn't have any sunspots in 2014, quite strangely. And then 2015 had every day with sunspots. 2016 was the beginning of the descent into solar minimum. So our comparable year then will be, I think, in 2027. That'll be the first year when we'll start seeing a few days showing up without sunspots, probably as we begin to move down into solar minimum. Thank you so to Richard, and thank you so to Shryan for our solar data. Right, oceans data next. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did the final winter update, number 13, I think. So our four areas of interest, we've got the ENSO region just here, Equatorial Pacific Ocean, northern, northeastern Pacific here, Indian Ocean over there, and Atlantic Ocean over there. That's how the oceans were looking as of the 22nd of November. This is the latest. So we did actually find our way to a genuine sort of La Nina setup and pattern. And it's actually, well, it's still relatively weak La Nina, but it's a consistent signal there. And it's kind of become central base as well. So you remember when we did the winter updates and winter forecast, we was unsure whether this would be an eastern based La Nina or whether it would be a central based La Nina. Well, that question has been answered. This is a central base, rather weak La Nina that has perhaps reached moderate levels in that central portion. Over in the eastern portion of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, temperature anomalies there are lifting up. Could be temporary, but have lifted up a little bit. But like a proper La Nina signature did develop after the very, very slow start. That's how it looked on the 22nd of November. Barely a La Nina signature at all, really. But since then, a proper La Nina signature has developed. Let's go northwards into the northern Pacific. So we had a pretty good cold PDO type signature then back in November. That's faded quite a lot now, so possibly the PDO is starting to shift towards a more neutral type base. Still more or less a negative, a cold PDO signature, but it is or it has weakened quite a bit since November, with a bit of a warm up. Over in the Indian Ocean, how are things looking there? Well, in November, had a very warm Indian Ocean. That's how it's looking now. A little bit of a cool down has actually taken place in the Indian Ocean over the past month or so. So changes over there, and then in the Atlantic, that's how the Atlantic was looking and was set up on the 22nd of November. This is how it's looking now. Not much change there. The Atlantic never seems to change much, does it? So still a little bit cooler through here. Otherwise, pretty warm again through most parts of the North Atlantic, with above average sea surface temperature anomalies in many areas. So the warm Atlantic continues, as it seems to, pretty consistently the past few years. This is a 7-day change in terms of sea surface temperatures. So we've seen warming in the eastern portion of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, the ENSO region, and through the central areas as well. The northern Pacific has warmed a little bit, cooled down over here in the Indian Ocean, and like the Atlantic, some areas have warmed a bit, some areas have cooled a bit. Nothing all that dramatic going on in the Atlantic over the past 7 days. This would be subsurface temperature anomaly from the CPC, NCEP, and NOAA PDF for ENSO conditions. So with this, you have to think that this is the surface of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We've got Peru just there, and then we've got Indonesia over there, and these are the depths of the ocean. So you can see we have got a large body of below average temperatures under the surface of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So the landing signature is supported, really, especially through central regions, to quite low depths, about 100 to 150 metres. See colder than average subsurface temperatures there, telling us, say, that the landing is quite well supported. So I would expect this landing now to carry on into the spring. Remember, it's a relatively weak but central-based landing. Some oscillation indexes look like this. Remember, the SOI is an index that's measuring the atmospheric state. It's measuring air pressures between Tahiti and Darwin, and then coming up with an overall daily contribution. So if you've got a negative SOI, the setup in the southern Pacific Ocean will be reflective of El Nino. Got a positive SOI, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. You see many days through December with positivity of the SOI. Back in the autumn, when we were doing the winter updates, we was trading positive and negative SOI days, which is one of the reasons took a very, very long time to get the landing going. But most days now are pretty consistently positive with the SOI. We do get 1 or 2 negative days coming through, but only weekly. So actually the last 2 days, 30th of December and 31st of December, came out -7 and -5, a little bit more strongly negative. But I think overall the atmospheric setup has shifted into a landing type phase there quite consistently. You see all of these positive numbers, and so that's one of the reasons that La Nina did finally sort of get its act together. The red line here is the 30-day SOI average. That's in quite strongly and solidly positive territory now. So from an SOI, from an atmospheric setup, we are well and truly into La Nina. CFS predicting we're about at the strongest for this La Nina, about 1 degree below average in region 3.4. That's like the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. The black dashed line shows that the La Nina comes back up and the temperature returns back to about neutral, neither below or above average by the time we get into the spring and the summer. So at the moment there's no signal for either El Nino or La Nina when we go into the summer. So we leave La Nina behind in the spring, we return back to ENSO neutral, and if the model is right, we stay at ENSO neutral through the summer at least. So we'll wait and see about that. Right, QBO, quasi-biennial oscillation. This is from NASA. So with this, you have to think that these are the levels of the atmosphere. We've got 10 HPA just here. That's the top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere. And then we've got 30 to 50 HPA there, which is like the boundary level of the atmosphere called the troposphere. That's where weather is taking place. So we're in a solidly westerly QBO phase, of course. Westerly QBO is well and truly into the troposphere, but we do see signs of the next easterly QBO phase at the top of the atmosphere and stratosphere. Not yet making it down into the troposphere, but starting to push down a little bit from the strat towards the troposphere. And so that looks pretty good for the next easterly QBO phase, which I think will probably set in sometime for about April or May. I would imagine we will find that ECQBO descending from the stratosphere into the troposphere there. But for now, we remain solidly in the westerly QBO. We got the QBO number in for November. That was released at the start of December, and that came out at plus 13.78. December's number will be placed just here, and then January, February, March, etc. will be placed under there for 2025. But you can see solidly positive numbers, plus 1, plus 6, plus 8, plus 10, plus 11, and then plus 13 in November. The Wesley QBO was still strengthening up to November, and we'll have another solidly positive number when December's QBO is revealed. Eurasian snow cover looks like it's not doing very good into Europe at the moment. The snow line has stalled at the far west of Russia on the Russian to European border. Most parts of the continent, away from mountainous areas anyway, are snow-free, actually, or were on New Year's Eve. We do see a little bit of snow down here, southeastern corner through the Balkans, and of course there's plenty of snow up across central and northern parts of Scandinavia and Nordic region, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Those areas are well covered. In central and northern areas anyway, not so much in the southern part of Sweden. I would imagine we will see more snow cover appearing across Europe over the next week or so, though, as the weather is on the turn and things will be getting colder. The Arctic oscillation observed and forecast looks like this. So the black line shows where we've been with the AA, the red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. At the moment, we are negative with the Arctic oscillation, and we're going to go even more negative through the first week, but January really dropping down there to a very, very negative level. Then we see the AO coming back up a little bit towards the middle part of that, but generally it looks like the first half of January going to have a negative Arctic oscillation. That tells us there is likely to be quite a considerable level of northern blocking within the Arctic and the high latitudes this January. The NAO observed and forecast looks like this. So again, the black line shows where we've been with the NAO, the red lines at the airweb GFS ensembles forecasting the NAO to go. At the moment, we're about neutral with the NAO, but that also going into negative territory, into a negative phase through the first half of January. So with the AO and the NAO both trending negative, that could well be a signal for cold weather. In fact, indeed, it is turning colder today on this New Year's Day. The question is, how long will those colder blocked conditions last? Well, now we're going to move on and do a 10 to 14 day, and we'll be looking at the chart data for that. If you're enjoying this Sunday Roundup, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that, and drop a comment let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Central England temperature has updated on this page, but it has updated on this page. This is the full index going back to 1659. Let's just refresh, actually. It might have updated. No, it hasn't. But it's updated on this page going back to 1659 with the CT. So we've got December CT confirmed at 6.8. And we've got the yearly CT confirmed at 10.96. Another very warm year, but not quite as warm as 2022 and 2023, but both got into the 11s, 11.18 and 11.13. So this year comes in under 11 degrees, but still a pretty high CT, 10.96. You know, like 20, 30 years ago would have been a remarkably warm year, to be honest. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Birmingham today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average. So sorry, everyone. Blimey. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average, and you can see that we are going below average now. The temperature, upper air temperature and surface temperatures coming down, and the upper air temperatures are going to be going colder than average over the next few days. Then we've got a bit of uncertainty as we get into the weekend, beginning of next week. We find the upper air temperatures ticking up. That's as an area of low pressure tries to come in from the south, and then we're back down into pretty cold cold conditions through the middle and latter part of next week. Possibly a recovery in the upper air temperatures and surface temperatures when we get into the middle of January. But that's a long way off its extended range, therefore unreliable. So if we sort of ignore this tick up, which isn't going to last very long, it still looks as though we have about a week, maybe 10 days of quite cold conditions. Precipitation-wise, been very wet today, but we'll be going drier over the next couple of days. But then through the weekend into next week, large precipitations bites. Some of those will be rain, some of them will be snow, depending on how far the warm sector with that low pressure, how far north warm sector with that low pressure gets. And then looking pretty unsettled out to the middle of January there. Snow row for Birmingham is looking like that, quite encouraging. A large number of snow spikes there for Sunday into Monday as well, possibly even into Tuesday. So we could be in for a snow event across some parts of central England later in the weekend and into next week. Temperature anomalies on the 1st of night for January below average, not just the UK and Ireland, but through most parts of northern Europe, or Scandinavia anyway, the Nordic regions. France, Low Countries, Germany, all those areas though still coming out a bit above average with the temperature anomaly. Precipitation anomalies from the 1st of night for January, drier than average for Northern Ireland, South West of Scotland, wetter than average for England and Wales. And of course, that's going to be quite cold. That could be a signal for some quite significant snow. Again, depending how far north that area of low pressure comes on Sunday and Monday. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we're pushing a cold front across the country today and changing the wind direction, switching the wind around to a colder northerly. So if you've not ventured out, the cold air is now getting even into the south, and that cold air will be with us for the rest of the week. Okay, let's start going through chart data there. Miss Abalation's UK Met Euro run is looking for midnight on Saturday. Low pressure to the southwest approaches, still looking pretty cold. Remember, it's low pressure coming up from the southwest Saturday into Sunday, running into that cold air, could deliver some significant snow. The low sort of to our south and the east, so most parts of the country keeping it cold Sunday into Monday. That looks like maybe a significant snow event for England and Wales there with the UK Met Sunday into Monday. We return back into those northerly winds through Tuesday, and we keep it cold but block around Greenland, Iceland, and wind in from the north into Wednesday as well. Very cold and wintry UK Met run there. Icon looking like that again. I've got that low pressure to the southwest on Saturday, midnight Saturday, pushing northeastwards into Sunday. Bit further north, I think, with Icon compared to UK Met, but nevertheless, I think that would still deliver a snow event to Wales, northern, possibly into the Midlands as well. Would be cold rain though down the south, but snow never really gets up to Scotland and Northern Ireland. There we keep wind in from the northeast, and it just stays cold, you know, with snow showers. That low pressure gone to Denmark by midnight on Tuesday, leaving us in a run of cold northerly winds, and then Icon keeping it cold into the middle of next week with a ridge, a block through the country, I should say, so cold and frosty. The KMA, again, pushing that low pressure in over the weekend into the start of next week. That looks like a significant snow event for much of England and Wales. The low pressure is down across the far south there. Most parts of England and Wales get significant snow event with that area of low pressure. That gets out of the way, and then we're cold, dry and cold through the middle and second half of next week. Low pressure then starts bringing milder conditions up to the middle of January, along with a southwesterly wind. KMA looks pretty good, but snow event, I think, much of England, Wales, from Sunday into Monday. This our GFS midnight run was looking, so once again, that area of low pressure trying to come up from the southwest. It's quite a bit further south, though, compared to where the GFS was placing it yesterday, which means that much of England and Wales could get a significant snow event with this area of low pressure later in the weekend and through the early part but next week. It's definitely one to watch. I would imagine we'll be doing snow watches starting from tomorrow, most likely, with this area of low pressure. Middle of next week, that low's gone to the low countries, winds are in from the north, blocking out high pressure around Greenland and Iceland remain cold and wintry through the middle and second half of next week as well. Up to day 10, the GFS midnight run looking cold and wintry as well. And then beyond that, the high pressure begins to slip southwards. Still cold and frosty, though, I think, there, up to the middle of January, but possibly starting to go rather milder as we get to extended range winds switching around to more other southerly, so becoming milder. But it's late on, becoming milder middle and into the second half of January. That is late on in the GFS run, and it is in the unreliable time frame. But GFS 6Z looks like this. So that low pressure coming in sunny to muddy, maybe a bit further north with the area of that low pressure then, bringing heavy precipitation to England and Wales through the early part of next week. But low pressure moves up into the North Sea. Winds pull back round into the north from Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, we have that blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, keeping it cold up to day 10. Low pressure trying to get in through the Atlantic, but coming up against that block, fending off below and fending off those milder temperatures. Even more extended range, again, starts to turn milder, though. Middle of January, southerly southwesterly winds start to return. Could still be quite frosty, I think, down in the south under this ridge, but certainly the north and west looking a lot milder there. So we're back to sort of mild, dry conditions that we had through Christmas, for example. Those coming back around the middle part of January. Again, if you're enjoying this Sunday Roundup, what we're talking about, New Year's Day Roundup, we will be doing a Sunday Roundup, starting later this month. I think it'll probably be the last weekend of January, but we'll do the Sunday Roundup. But if you enjoy this New Year's Day Roundup, please do like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to everyone for dear Matt. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this, all of our videos and content, etc., etc. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everyone, for dear Matt. Right, GM with low pressure coming in from the southwest over the weekend. A lot further north with that area of low pressure, dragging up more of a southwesterly. So still a lot of uncertainty with this area of low pressure. This low pressure being such a headache, been mold output over the past few days, and it still continues really how far north this low gets. And it's important how far north it gets, because to the south of it there's a warm sector. So to the south of this low it's going to rain, and that suggests like much of England and Wales just getting rain Sunday to Monday and snow, probably for northern England up into southern parts of Scotland there. Well, anyway, below gets out of the way by Tuesday. Wind goes back into the north, and then the high pressure trying to get itself to Scandinavia, which is something the GM is playing around with at the moment. High pressure trying to get to Scandinavia and trying to bring in more of an easterly flow at the end of the week and into the end of next week and into the second weekend of January. That is day 10, which is the 11th of January. And then we've got the ECM looking like this. This would be ECM computer model. We also show the AI ECM, but the computer model from the ECM looks like that. So again, the ECM has that low pressure further north, as it has been consistently doing. That brings heavy rain to much of England and Wales, straight for northern England, southern Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So again, headaches with this area of low pressure. Below goes to Denmark on Tuesday, bringing the wind in from a cold northerly direction, but another low zipping through to the south. That looks like it's mostly across northern France, though, just maybe grazing the south coast. That one could bring a bit of snow to England and Wales around day 9, 10. ECM is keeping it pretty cold, I think, up to day 10 then. Once back low pushes off Monday through to Tuesday. So ECM's moved a little bit in a colder direction. But what about the AI ECM? Looks like that. So again, a bit further northwards compared to a lot of model output with that area of low pressure from Sunday to Monday. But gets wind back into the north, becoming colder on Tuesday. Cold and wintry through the middle part of next week. Low pressure into northern France with a block around Iceland. And then around days 9 and 10, we start to turn things milder with winds shifting round to more of a southwesterly direction. This is the precipitation forecast based on the ECM run from Tometeo.com. So the wet weather is clearing away right now, and then we're opening the door to these snow showers. This is the ECM computer model, by the way, precipitation forecast from the ECM computer model, not the AI model. So snow showers into the north through the second half of this week. Then into the weekend, we've got this rain and snow coming up from southwest. We do get a significant stir event, much of Ireland, England and Wales next Sunday morning, but it turns back to rain in the south. Heavy snow, though, for Northern Ireland, some Northern England. Remember, other models have this low further southward, so it still remains to be seen what's going to happen with this area of low pressure and who's going to get snow. But for this ECM run, it's really good for the north. So Northern Ireland, Northern England and Scotland getting a real pasting but snow with rain further southwards. And then that low out of the way by Tuesday. Snow showers into the north and around the coast as well. Another low grazes the south, could bring a little bit of snow to the far south there, but most of that's going into France. Bit more snow around the 10th of January, though. That brings some snow parts of Ireland, England and Wales again. Looking quite wintry, doesn't it, with being ECM today. That's a setup at day 10 with rain and snow moving away to the east. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, there we go, which is going to be the 11th of January from the Icelandic Met Office. 19 members of the ECM ensembles bringing low pressure in from off the Atlantic, starting to try turn things milder, but we do still have a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland there. We've got 17 bringing mostly dry, probably quite cold and frosty weather. 8 with high pressure towards Scandinavia. That probably brings in quite a cold easterly wind. And 7 with low pressure across the north and west of Europe, combined with high pressure towards the Canadian side of Greenland. That could be quite cold and wintry. So, range of options, but most of them do suggest it could still be quite cold, I think, actually, at day 10. And then in 2 minutes' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 16th of January. 14 members of the ECM ensembles then have high pressure over UK and Western Europe. That's probably going to be cold and frosty. Another 14 with high pressure away to the east, low pressure out to the west. That's going to be unsettled and a lot milder. Winds back in from more of a southerly southwesterly direction. 13 with high pressure between Iceland and Scandinavia. Winds coming in from a cold easterly direction. And 10 again with high pressure towards Scandinavia. And winds probably from like a southeasterly or easterly direction. That could be quite cold as well. So, again, day 10 and day 14, got a bit of a split there. We might turn things milder. Alternatively, we might keep things cold. So, it's going to be an interesting few days as we try to iron that out. As well as he said, low pressure and potential for snow event Sunday and Monday. Right, CFS, these are 500 millibar high times, breaking down into weekly periods. The first week period takes us from a burst to the 7th of January. The next week has low pressure to the northeast, high pressure to the northwest, and winds are coming in from a cold north or northeast direction, cold and wintry. Week 2 will be the 8th to the 14th of January with a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland, Iceland, low pressure to our south and east, winds coming in from a cold northeasterly direction. So cold for week 1, cold for week 2 there with the CFS. This is week 3 the 15th to the 21st of January. And high pressure still blocking around Greenland Iceland, but low pressure to the south could start to bring the wind back around to a milder southerly direction. But it won't take that much to still be cold, actually, even into week 3. So that's one of those in-between type charts that could go in either direction. By week 4, we are then solidly into milder conditions, 22nd, 28th of January. Low pressure in the Atlantic, high pressure down towards Spain, and winds coming up from the southwest. So unsettled and mild by week 4. But of course, that's 4 weeks away. It's a long way out. And therefore, you know, I've got a lot of weather to pass under the bridge before we get to that. CFS monthly for February, opening salvo today, 700 millibar height on. Remember, these charts change daily. Looks like this with low pressure in the Atlantic. High pressure is away to the east. Winds coming up from a southerly direction. So that would be a wet, unsettled, but also mild February. We'll see about that. Temperature anomalies above average for February there, and looking quite wet, especially so to our west. So could be a mild but wet February. As I say, we'll see about that. Finally, I just want to show you UKB. This sets up the potential for snow watch tomorrow. So if you're interested in snow, look out for snow watch coming up tomorrow. But this morning's UKB was looking pretty epic for a snow event later in the weekend. So we're going to have cold northern winds with snow showers into the north over the next few days, your Thursday and Friday. A lot of snow showers piling into Scotland there Thursday night into Friday. Wintry showers around the coast, but it's really through the weekend it gets exciting. This is midday Saturday, wet weather just lurking to the far southwest, and check out what happens on Saturday evening and overnight Saturday into Sunday. A big snow event there for England and Wales. Been a long time since we've seen such widespread heavy snow for England and Wales. On Sunday, but we do see rain down the south, by the way, so southern areas, sorry, you're on the southern side of the low, and so there'll be any snow turns back to rain. But like significant snow for Wales and Midlands up to the south of northern England anyway, overnight Saturday into Sunday, and then it all sort of pulls away to the south from Sunday into Monday as the wind returns back in from the north. That's a very long way off. Remember, the ECM, if that came off, or the GEM, the snow risk would be sort of northern England, Northern Ireland, and up to southern Scotland, probably with just a lot of cold rain for England and Wales. So there is still a lot of uncertainty with that area of low pressure. But yes, today's UKB, this morning's UKB, did look pretty epic, I have to say, for significant and substantial snow parts of England, Wales at the weekend. We shall see. Right, we're done. If you enjoyed this New Year's Day roundup, please can you like, share and subscribe. Make sure to everyone's board doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids, get them to subscribe to show everyone's doing that. I think we only need to put around 20 subscribers to get to 19.3k. So if you could give us a sub, that would be absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. So tomorrow we're going to have a 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We'll do a 10 to 14 day, and as I say, watch out for snow watch. That's on the way tomorrow as we try to work out the snow potential for this weekend. Exciting couple of days to come. For the New Year's Day roundup for 2025, that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day, and bye for now.